So let's take a look at rupa, or form. So in some ways, rupa, or form, is the easiest of the 5 skandhas to get an immediate sense of. It's also quite instructive to look a little bit deeper into it. So this pile here, this is a pile of rocks, pile of stones that were probably cleared when the top meadow here at Dharma was a field, which has become overgrown with moss. It has a sense of material shape and texture. It has what we commonly call form. So all sorts of things have form. In fact, material things as we know them all have form. And we know these forms through our senses. We can see things. We can touch them. In the sense of the 5 skandhas, rupa, however, isn't just the material form of the object. It is how we apprehend it. It's the basic sense data that arrives. It's the apprehension of the basic sense data before we've called a leaf a leaf. It seems in the sense of a leaf it's quite easily turned to dust. So yeah, in the terms of the 5 skandhas, it's the basic sense data we're talking about. So as well as things we can see or things we can touch, sounds. Don't know if you can hear that. That's the cattle about half a kilometre down the glen. Sounds are also part of rupa, as are smells or even tastes. This is the basic sense data that we apprehend before we've done anything else with it. But it's most obviously presents in terms of material form, and often when people talk about rupa, it's material form they're talking about. But in the sense of the 5 skandhas, we need to expand it. So, rupa, or form, can be thought of as a quality of the material universe, the materiality of the tree, or the materiality of my body as I touch it, touch me, and touch the tree. But my perception, when we talk about it experientially, I can't take myself out of that situation. So form isn't simply an abstract quality of objects. It's a perceptual experience. It's those qualities apprehended in my mind. So in that sense, I cease to be separate from these objects, these external qualities. This in itself is quite an exciting thing to experience. Just find somewhere quiet to sit, wherever you are, or somewhere pleasant like this, and just allow your mind to drop a sense of objects being objects. Just allow them to be forms, allow them to present themselves through the sense data, or allow the sense data to simply present itself. And as you sit and relax the mind and allow the sense data to simply present itself in this way, the world is very rich and very beautiful, and things that had not previously been apparent to us sometimes begin to become apparent to us. You might notice elements of your experience that you previously hadn't noticed. This is a theme that we'll maybe come back to. So this non-separateness when we're contemplating rupa between the object and ourselves itself is quite a delightful experience. But it raises the question, what happens when the object isn't there? All we have to do is close our eyes to meditate, and quite often visual images arise, or I can remember places that I haven't been. So when forms come to mind, is that rupa, form, or is it vijnana, consciousness? Or is it both? Well, as we'll see as we move through the skandhas, you can't really separate out the 5 skandhas. They actually are constantly interrelating to each other. So if you remember earlier, I said we can't treat this as a form of a sort of early Iron Age Indian version of elemental chemistry. It doesn't kind of work like that. This is an interrelational system. So when we recognise that our experience of form arises because of the interaction between some kind of materiality and our own minds, and we stop trying to force a separation between those two things, that in itself can be quite an extraordinary experience. And in this situation, the fluidity of experience becomes more apparent to us. And if we look carefully and open our minds to it, so does the transience of form itself. Material things can be said to be molested by impermanence, whereas objects of the mind are forever moving. So in quite a simple way, we can simply open our experience up to form and allow a softness to enter into it. And when we meditate, we can just take note of where form arises. We don't need to do anything with form. We're not trying to make it disappear or pretend it doesn't exist or anything like that. Initially, it's just a question of noticing the bare sense data as it presents itself to us. So the image that's used in the Pena Sutta for form, for rupa, is foam, a clump of foam, something that appears to be substantial, but on examination doesn't seem to be quite so substantial. But don't force it. Don't supplant a concept of how you think things should be onto your experience. Just simply notice form.